Okay, sorry about that. Had a couple customers come in and had to get them stuff. Anyway, getting back into our tombstones and discussing that, wanted to get into. So first part, heard me talking about doing um, veterans tombstones for free. It led to other business. Did them for several years, maybe every 18 months or so. I've also worked at the national cemeteries. Those have been great. Those are typically done on a contract basis. You're not going to show up to one of the nice big national cemeteries and just go, "Hey, I want to do stuff for free." Probably not going to happen there. And they're going to want some vetting, and they're going to have certain requirements that you're going to work on there. Again, we talked about the knowledge and understanding of what we're cleaning out there. And I think this is so very important, in all aspects of what we're doing here in this industry. Whenever you're running a cleaning, business, one of the things that we like to do is go to the source. Any of the information we cite at Spray Wash Pro or any of the classes are going to be information that we've gleaned from the source or is to the best of our understanding. We really don't like the pronouns that, well, I heard or they said or blah blah blah. I like to actually show no, not they said, Sherwin-Williams said. In this case, one of the things that we've gone to is the Natural Stone Institute. And let me share my screen again. Share screen. So the National Stone Institute has their requirements or their recommendations for cleaning natural stone. On here, National Stone Institute, you go in, they've got information for installers, for cleaners, for homeowners, for designers. You can pay money and join them. You can also glean a lot of information whenever just from reading, their free information that's out there, and you become an expert to people whenever you're talking about this with them. You actually are telling someone, no, I understand this process. I've read about this process. This isn't, I'm not going to just spray and pray on here. We understand, what we're talking about. Talks about the different types of stones, the limestone, travertine, onyx, marble, sandstone, slate, granite, different things, care tips on there, cleaning products, products containing lemon, vinegar, or other acids may dull or etch calcareous stones. You see a lot of information on these stones about don't use acid on there. Do not use acid. That can really damage the finish. What type of stain is it? Identify the stain. Here we have talking about oil stains on there. Organic. They consider organic, but one of the things they say about using organics is hydrogen peroxide. Biological, which is the algae, mildew, lichens, moss, and fungi. Half a cup of ammonia or bleach or hydrogen peroxide with water. Do not bleach and ammonia. So right here, the National Stone Institute is saying, okay, bleach is okay to use on there. Some more information we've seen about bleach and natural stone. You've heard people saying don't use bleach on the natural stone, but another reason we talk about not using the bleach on a natural stone it is not just because the bleach is bad for the stone, but the salts left by the bleach is bad for the stone. That's where incorrect bleach usage and poor rinsing techniques can actually get the bleach left in there. And as we know, that bleach is highly, highly salty, 1.25 pounds per gallon of salt. If you'd have taken plant and property protection, you'd know that. We don't rinse it off good. The salt recrystallizes in the crevices and can actually cause the rock to fracture and bust. That's one of the reasons that they say, hey, don't use bleach on these tombstones, on the natural stones. So if you can go in there and demonstrate that you are neutralizing and removing the salts by chelation by using a product like Agent Halt, and totally getting rid of the salts that would be on that surface, then you've really got a leg up on getting this job and being able to use the bleach products on there. Another interesting one that I saw was here's actually from the National Park Service. Thought that was some really good information on there. What's the reason for cleaning the monuments? And these are their, instructions for cleaning this. They want soft brushes, gentle cleaners, and water or non-ionic cleaner. Neutral pH of 7. Never use wire brushes, power washers, harsh cleaners such as bleach. That's what they're saying. And they're typically dealing with some much older type historical markers on there. Salt damage can cause disintegration of the stone surface. The presence of salts within the stone, in the grounds, in some herbicides, and in some cleaners can migrate through the stone's porous network and cause damage. Salts are dissolved and transported by water. They can recrystallize and exert pressures in the pores that may exceed the strength of the stone. Going 5 and 6 here. Thus, do not use cleaners that leave behind salts to clean marble headstones. So, but their thought is the salts can recrystallize and cause the issues. And actually, I see a question on here. FPLL. I'll discuss that in a minute. Low sodium chlorine, actually you can. There's a few, I believe it's Hawkins has some low sodium chlorine, and that 30-second Miracle Cleaner uses low sodium chlorine. Talk to your Hawkins rep about getting the low sodium stuff. They have a low sodium plant in Tampa, I believe. Other interesting things, they say on the do's and don'ts. Most importantly, do no harm, do select the gentlest cleaning method, do perform small test patches, do follow manufacturer's recommendations, do follow manufacturer's safety, do exercise patience. Don't remove original surfaces. Don't use bleach or other salt-laden cleaners. Now, again, I'm going back to the bleach and equating this to the salt, because of what they're saying right here, and we'll talk about D2 in just a second. So don't use bleach or other salt-laden cleaners. So they're not necessarily, to me, it's not necessarily talking about bleach is bad. They're worried about salt-laden cleaners on there. So I think that's important. So now if we can neutralize the salt, now we're a step ahead of the game there. Don't power wash with high pressures. Don't sandblast or use harsh mechanical methods such as power tools. Don't use strong acids or bases. Now, what's high pressure? I think, I saw Doug App saying anything over 100 PSI he considers to be high pressure. You ask somebody who's doing hydro excavating at 6,000 PSI, he's probably going to consider 3,000 PSI to be low pressure. What is soft washing? Well, we said that soft washing was 600 PSI or less. There's no true definition. Why 600 PSI? Well, because that's what Drive It says. Synthetic stucco says don't wash this at more than 600 PSI. So that's why we're saying, 600 PSI there. High pressure versus low pressure is extremely subjective and real hard to get an answer by any expert on what is high, what is low. So that's what the National Park Service is saying on that. Then we go into, somebody mentioned about D2. I think D2 is kind of an interesting product, but I want to point out something about D2. So D2, a lot of guys have seen this, biological solution, and you scrub it on and then rinse it off. Kind of a very labor intensive cleaner out there. Well, again, getting into what is D2, do a little research on here, and let me find my other thing that I opened up. My apologies. So D2, that's wet and forget, biological. D2 is the safety data sheet, the SDS on it. And it's not moving. Awesome. It's frozen. Anyway, this is the D2. You can see the logo right here. What is D2? D2 is decanium decyl dimethyl chloride. Whenever we look at that, we understand that that is actually a quaternary ammonium. Do some more research. What are the differences between bleach and quat? We used quat. Another quat product is SandQ. And the reason I have wet and forget up here, what is it? It's a quat. It's a quat-based product on here. So, and if you look at the SDS on the wet and forget, alkyl dimethyl benzyl ammonium chloride. Hey, come on in. I'm live. So, again, that's another quat cleaner. There are hundreds of different quat-based cleaners. That's Henry from Big Ben. Yeah, you're on. You're live. See. There's a lot of different quats out there. Read up on them. They're pretty powerful. They're very good sanitizers. They're not necessarily really good cleaners, but they do attack biological material. They're really hard on your lungs. Whenever we were doing a lot of sanitizing, quats would just absolutely kick your butt whenever they got aerosolized and you breathe them in. Here's a thing about what's the difference between bleaches and quats out there. Another important thing whenever you're doing your research out here is note the website that you're getting your research from, because there's there's a lot of sales websites out there. And whenever you read into it, they're really just doing a sales job on what is, why you should use their product, not necessarily a research type website. So again, we're talking about the differences between quats and bleaches here. You can read up on that. Household Commercial Products Association. What's happening? Oh, come on in. We're live broadcasting right now. So if you don't, you're good. I mean, talk, but if you don't want to be seen, because I know you're probably running from your wife. Household Commercial Products Association, another great place to get information. Read about your quats on there. Quat overkill, what are quats and why are they a problem? So this is womensvoices.org. There's a lot of information out there that's saying, do we know enough about the safety of quat disinfectants? Yeah. Henry, somebody's saying they miss you. RY guy. They're not registered on there. So, oh yeah, maybe so. So a lot of good information, and this is where you should do your research and formulate, your opinions. But again, there's a lot of different quaternary ammoniums. but the wet and forget is chemically very, very similar to the D2. Both of them are going to require scrubbing. Both of them are going to require a lot of work in there and want you to use low pressure. Now, something that we have seen on a lot of these sites that have been mentioned a few times is hydrogen peroxide. And let me move my hydrogen peroxide as a cleaner for them. I have not tried this yet, but the Greenox Renew with the activator, multiple sites have mentioned that peroxide is a safe cleaner for the tombstones, and I think it's going to more aggressively kill the biological materials. I've got some test things where it was done on wood, and this is where the Greenox was placed on wood here. No pressure washing, just removed that staining pretty darn well. So I would think it would do pretty good on the tombstones besides the well, because it is good at getting rid of the biological material on there. You know, one of the things that the other thing I went down a rabbit hole looking at, and the didectyl methyl ammonium chloride, which is in the D2, I asked, is it a salt? And I've gotten some mixed reactions from the Google machine on whether things are salts or not. Understand that chloride is one of the things that is a salt product on there. So if it's a salt product, hey Ben, we're live, so if you don't want to be on camera, stay away from the camera. Chlorides is part of what makes salt, you know. So it wouldn't be too hard for stuff to become salts on there. Oh, are quartz salts based? I did that search on there. Quaternary ammonium compounds are catatonic salts of organically substituted ammonium compounds. I am not a chemist. I don't necessarily understand this, but they're saying those are catatonic salts out there. Something like the EBC Restore, that's like a safer acid product. And again, that's made through the salt process as well. Again, they don't want stuff with a lot of salts on there. They don't want stuff that's very aggressive on there. But if you read, again, if you go back to the original Natural Stone Institute, they're saying it's okay to use low percentages of bleach on there. I would quantify that with make sure you rinse and make sure you neutralize on there to really make this as safe as possible. You know, another funny one is what's high PSI. I can't get an answer to what is high PSI. That's a sales order where somebody's bought stuff. Let's close that up. And what else do we need to talk about on here? I don't know if that is quite a catatonic state or not. Sometimes after spraying bleach, but again, I would highly recommend if something you want to get into, Greenox might be the ticket for cleaning these tombstones, because we've seen peroxide cleaners you mentioned a couple of times on there. Again, I've gone for a period of probably 8 years cleaning our veterans cemeteries here in Tallahassee. Never really had an issue with, never really had, I have never had whatsoever an issue with using the bleach on there, nor from the cemetery manager in the city of Tallahassee either. In fact, they've had us back several times to do that. And I've got a store full of people, so I'm going to sign off now. We can talk a little bit more later about the actual process of cleaning tombstones out there. But again, remember the quats, and quats are different. So the D2 is a little bit different than the wet and forget, but they are both from the same family that's out there. And again, it's the same as the sand Q, which again is another quaternary ammonium compound. So anyway, you guys have fun. Let me help these customers, and we'll talk again. Bye. What's happening, guys?